Hi guys, this is Slaying the Dragon, Hormones and Essential Oils, Part 1, Take 2. I'm really sorry if any of you joined us for the first um, time a few minutes ago. I had a lot of technical difficulties, so we're just going to try and start over again. So I'm going to do some screen sharing so that you can see all the slides that we do. So it'll be just a moment. Look it up. So what we're talking about tonight is Slay the Dragon, Essential Oils and Hormones, Part 1. Why am I doing this class? Well, partly because I have struggled a lot with my hormones over the last about 10 years is really when I started doing research, but I've struggled with this my whole life. I've been talking to a lot of friends, family, clients, and lately it seems like every time we talk about health issues, the issues of hormones and period and PMS seem to be coming up repeatedly. So I thought I would do a little bit of a class on just what you can do to kind of help support um, your female hormones. Then we'll do a second class later in the month talking about some of the other hormones that we have and how you can support them. Before we get started, I just want to do a little disclaimer. This is for learning purposes only. I'm not a doctor. I'm just sharing what has worked for me and for my friends. Please consult a healthcare practitioner when making any changes to your medical routine. This information is not meant to diagnose, to treat, to cure, or prevent disease. Any suggestions in this video are specific to Young Living essential oils and not other essential oils. Particularly if I talk about ingesting some of the oils, please do your research on oils and make sure that they are safe to ingest if you want to ingest them. Even the statements made about Young Living essential oils have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. The last thing is I can just tell you the results that me and my friends have gotten, but I can't promise you any certain results. I can't guarantee you this. I can just tell you what has worked for me and my friends. I want to start just talking about basic reproductive hormones. Right, this will probably be a little bit of a review for you, but just to talk about what are our reproductive hormones. The first one, I'm sure you've heard before, is estrogen. It's produced in the ovaries and by a lesser degree the adrenal glands, fat tissues, and men's testes. It's considered a sex hormone because it's produced by the reproductive organs and it affects the reproductive organs. The second one is progesterone. Right? Progesterone is got a lot of important functions in your body. It plays a big role in balancing out the effect of estrogen, especially in the lining of your uterus. And progesterone is the dominant hormone on the second half of your menstrual cycle. The third one is testosterone. And as women, we don't talk a lot about testosterone. Testosterone is generally thought of as something that's a primary sex hormone for males, but it is also in women. It plays a role in egg development and ovulation, right? And testosterone imbalances can affect women as well as men. So even though it is not one of our big two, it is still important in our reproductive hormones. One thing that I didn't realize until I started doing some research about 10 years ago is just how much hormones can affect not just your menstrual cycle, but all sorts of other things in your body. Things like weight loss or weight gain, hair loss, loss of libido, fatigue, hot flashes, night sweats. Obviously, we know about mood swings, also digestion, insomnia, indigestion and gastrointestinal discomfort. Right? That one I think is a particular interesting one. Dry eyes. Right? And I began to learn how this affects just more than my menstrual cycle about 10 years ago. I was trying to become healthier. I was exercising, I was eating right, and yet I really wasn't seeing the results that a lot of my friends were seeing. And I was complaining one night to a friend of mine, no, this is going on, and I still can't seem to lose weight. And she told me a story about her sister. She said the same thing happened to my sister. She was exercising, she was eating right, she wasn't losing any weight. She said my sister went to the doctor. She talked to the doctor, and the doctor did a blood test and found out that she had a hormone imbalance. That in fact she wasn't producing enough testosterone, and that was affecting the fact that she couldn't lose weight. And that made me start thinking, So I did the same thing. I went to my doctor. I said I would like a blood test. I had a good doctor that would do it, because I know other people have said their doctors would not, but my doctor did. He brought it back. He said, well, everything is in the normal range, but your testosterone is a little low. But you're a woman, so that's probably okay. Well, I decided that maybe I should do a little research on my own. That was the first time I really started to think about what I could do myself to change my hormones and to balance them. And I went through and I did some research, and I found a particular herb that I could take in a pill that would help to increase my testosterone. And it did help a little bit. I did lose weight a little bit better. It was no miracle cure. If it was, we'd be having a completely different type of PowerPoint tonight. And I would have a completely different supplements. But it was the first time that I realized that my hormone imbalance, right, this could be related to other things that I have or other problems that I may be experiencing in my body. So I want to talk a little bit about different symptoms that you might have if you have a hormone imbalance. So in particular, low progesterone, which is one of those things that I found out was where my problem was. My mom's had this problem, and the symptoms are things like anxiety, insomnia, fatigue, cramps, irregular periods, breast tenderness, and headache. The second one is low estrogen. So there are symptoms like night sweats, depression, vaginal dryness, insomnia, incontinence, hair loss, low libido, lack of concentration, and osteoporosis. Then on the other hand, we have the high progesterone. So I had low progesterone and probably some of this high estrogen as well, or maybe I just had these symptoms because my progesterone was so low. I love this little graphic here with the mood swings. It makes me laugh. So I thought I'd show it to you. Some high estrogen symptoms are weight gain, irregular periods, fibrocystic breasts, mood swings, headaches, breast tenderness, and irritability. So I realized when I was looking at these symptoms that I had low progesterone and some symptoms of this high estrogen. So as you look at these couple of slides, you might want to be thinking, what symptoms do you have? Where might it go? I can't remember where I read this, but I read somewhere that said that as you get older and you head towards premenopause and menopause, that a lot of women tend to have low progesterone. That's the tendency. But you never know. Some people may have low estrogen. But for me, it was definitely the progesterone that was low and the estrogen that was high. And that goes into a little bit of what my story and my struggle was. I've struggled with PMS since I was a teenager, right? I've struggled with it throughout my 20s, my 30s. Now that I'm in my 40s, I'm still struggling with it. If I read an article on PMS, there'll be 20 symptoms and I'll have like 15 or 18 of the symptoms I've had at some time in my life. I remember in my 20s, I was doing a particular job and I was on the subway and I got cramps so bad that I had to get off the subway and I actually threw up in a subway bathroom. Not something I would recommend. It was disgusting. But it didn't happen every month, but this would happen on and off throughout my teens, throughout my 20s. As it went into my 30s, things seemed to get worse. And now in my 40s, things have actually started to get better because I've been doing different things that I'm going to share with you today. I've found that my energy level is back. I'm not so emotional. I'm not so depressed. I still get cramps, but it's not as severe as it used to be. And so it's easier to kind of take care of with some of the oils and some of the things I'm going to share tonight. Mental fog, always there. That kind of goes with the fatigue. So really, I have just begun on this journey and to feel better in the last 2 or 3 years as I've come back to the United States. When I came back to the United States, I teach English as a second language, so I've been all over the world, and a few years ago I came back to be closer to my family, to be home, and when I did, I was talking with one of my friends, and she introduced me to the essential oils, and one of the essential oils, one of the blends that I first did is the one I'll share with you next. And it was the first oil that really made a difference when it came to my PMS and my menstrual cycle. And it was just amazing. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to kind of tell you a little bit about the 5 things that I do that supports and balances my hormones. Right? And so the first thing I'm going to talk about before we get to some of the oils and the supplements is some of the lifestyle changes you can do. Okay? And things you can do: hydrate. Over and over again, you'll see water. It's made 70% of your body, and how important it is to keep hydrated. Another thing to do to lessen some of the symptoms is to relax and reduce stress. I'll talk a lot more about how you can relax and reduce stress and hormones in part 2 when we talk about the adrenal and the endocrine system. But even before that, you can do things that can just relax and reduce stress, things like yoga, meditation, go out and have some fun with your family, go to a movie, something that relaxes you, whatever it is that relaxes you. And the third thing you can do is try to go chemical free, or at least limit your chemicals. And that kind of goes into things to avoid. So one thing that will help is if you can change your diet a little bit. So some hormone jacking foods are things like sugar, gluten, and caffeine. And then a really big one, at least for me, is chemically processed foods. I didn't realize, whether I'm overseas or in the United States, just how much the way they process food, the way that meat is processed, how that actually affects your hormones. So it's something that you've really got to look at the labels and ask questions, because all these things can affect your hormones. If you are buying meats that have lots of hormones in the animals as they're being raised, those hormones can actually affect you as well. So I'm not going to go into a whole big thing about chemically processed foods, but it is something that you've just got to be aware of. You've got to read your labels. And that comes with part number 2 to avoid is toxic overload. There are so many chemicals that we're around. Right? We probably can't go completely chemical free, but you can try and limit your chemicals. Right? Beauty products, fragrances, cleaning products, again, processed food. All these things have lots of chemicals in them, and if you do not get rid of those chemicals, you can go into toxic overload, and that does also affect your hormones. So these are a few lifestyle changes you can do that don't cost a lot of money, and they're not, um, they're easy for everybody to do, right? So different oils that are commonly used. I've got here about 7 oils. These are some of the top 7 oils. If you Google, you will find probably about 20 more oils. And there are a lot of different oils that people use on the internet, they recommend. And so when I first started looking more about essential oils to use with hormones, I kind of got like inundated with all these or essential oils to use and blends to use. And I've kind of narrowed them down to what I call my top 5. These are the top 5 oils I use in my daily, monthly regimen, and it really helped me to be a person that somebody else wants to be around. And the first one and the number one thing, and if you can't get anything else, this is my recommendation. This is Progressence Plus. This is an oil I started using shortly after, maybe 2 or 3 months after I first tried essential oils. Someone in my team suggested it, said every woman should use it. It's something that has wild yam and vitamin E, right? It really helps with the low progesterone issue, right? Essential oils in there are things like frankincense, bergamot, and peppermint. I bought this oil, I brought it home. The way I use it is to put it in a 11 milliliter roller bottle, and I do a 1-to-1 ratio, so half oil, half carrier oil. And a carrier oil is an oil like olive oil, jojoba. You can get V6 from Young Living, coconut oil, even sesame oil, but a carrier oil, and I mix it 1-to-1, and then I roll it on. And I started doing it once a day, and I do it at night, but you don't have to do it at night. And 2 weeks later, I got my period, and the difference in just 2 weeks was amazing. I had more energy than I'd had before. I didn't have as much of the mood swings as I had before. And then as I just continue to use it and I'm consistent, I see every month that I feel a little bit better, that I have more energy, and helps with the insomnia as well. So it is the first oil I used. It's the one I would recommend the most. I recommend this to all my friends. I say this oil really changed my life, because even after 2 weeks, I went, oh, so this is how the other half lives, right? This is how I can survive my period without feeling so terrible, without having to go to bed for like half a day or a day. So it's the one that I most strongly recommend. Oh, then we have 2. So I have a daily dose of what's called PD8020. And this is a great overall vitamin supplement, right? It's not just for the use in progesterone and estrogen. It helps with mental acuity and memory. It's also used in endocrine, to help the endocrine system to support it. And it can even help with immune. This is a great overall daily supplement. I'll talk a little bit again, probably in part 2, because I kind of use this one for both systems, both for my female hormones and for those other hormones we'll talk about in part 2. The third one, Dragon Time. Exactly like it sounds. I use it that time of the month so that I am not the raging beast. This is also where we get the title for this particular webinar, Slaying the Dragon. Right? This uses blends of fennel, clary sage, marjoram, lavender, blue yarrow, and jasmine. It's sweet, right? It helps with stability and calm, and it says occasional moodiness, right? And it definitely helps that time of the month to kind of relax and kind of steady me. And there's 2 different ways I use it. I'll use it to diffuse in a diffuser, where I can just smell it, Or if I'm out and about, I'll put it on my diffuser necklace. That way it hangs around me the entire day and I can smell it the entire day. And it does help with some of that crankiness and moodiness. Fourth one is Digize. And if you're a Young Living customer, you're thinking, Digize, this is digestive system things. Well, remember when we looked at that graphic, and one of the problems of hormone imbalance is digestive issues. I use this a lot. I use this not only when I have my period, but other times because it does help with any kind of digestive system support. It's a blend of tarragon, ginger, peppermint, juniper, lemongrass, anise, and patchouli. Right. I also find that it helps with my cramps to lessen that. How I use it is I usually there's two different types of ways to use it. So this one has an interesting smell. It kind of smells or tastes a little bit like licorice. My mom uses it as well. She likes the smell. So she uses it in one of those 11 millimeter roller bottles with a carrier oil, again about 1-to-1 ratio, so half and half. And she just rolls it right on her abdomen. Me, I don't really like the smell of it so much, so I usually take this internally. So I take a half a drop or a drop, I put it on the tongue or the roof of my mouth. I think it tastes better than it smells, so that's the way I like to take it. If you don't like the way it smells or the way it tastes, you can put it into a gel capsule with some water or some carrier oil and just swallow it. It's really kind of up to you what is the best for you. But this really does help. So I don't have to take as many aspirin or Aleve. Well, not aspirin, you shouldn't take aspirin, but Aleve or Motrin or anything during my period. It helps me not to have to do quite as much of that. And then the last one is something I've just started in the last few months that I found has helped a lot. This one is not a particular Young Living thing. This is from Dr. Mariza, and she is a doctor. I've watched some of her seminars on hormones, and I tried this particular hormone support blend. And again, this is in a roller bottle. I love the roller bottles. They make a good way to mix your oils up, and then it's easy to carry and to apply. So in the roller bottle, you would combine 10 drops of clary sage, 8 drops of lavender, 5 drops of geranium, 4 drops of ylang ylang, 4 drops of bergamot, and then finish it with a carrier oil. And this one, Dr. Mariza, she suggests you roll it on near your ovaries, so you can do that. Or I usually do on my ovary Vitaflex point. If you don't know what Vitaflex is, it's similar to kind of reflexology. You can find some little graphics on the internet on where it is. But the ovary Vitaflex point is the outside ankle of the right foot. And so what I do is I'll use it right on that right foot. And it's really amazing like how in like 5-10 minutes, how I can easily just feel better. And if you're a person that likes flowery perfume, this is a really good smell. It's a little flowery for me, but it is a good actually combination of just smells. So it doesn't smell like medicinal, maybe like the Digize would, but this smells really good. So these are my top kind of 5 oils that I use: the Progressence Plus, the PD 8040 or 8020, the Dragon Time, the Digize, and then this hormone support blend. So the next question you might be asking is, how can you get these oils? If you want to know more, even more about a lot of these oils, you can go to youngliving.com. Right? Before I get to some more details about how you can order from me and Young Living, I just want to talk briefly about why I use Young Living essential oils. Right? There's a lot of oils out there, and I like this particular blend the best, and it's because of their seed to seal policy. So there's not a lot of rules or regulations when it comes to essential oils. So pure essential oil only has to be 5% oil, which means they can cut the oil with other products. Some cheap brands may use formaldehyde. Some other brands may just use some carrier oils, right? So you want to just be careful and check out, if you don't use Young Living, check how it's manufactured and how it's distilled. The reason I like Young Living is because of the seed to seal commitment they have, and they oversee right from seed to seal. There are no pesticides, there are no chemicals, they do not cut it with anything. The plants are hand weeded, they're harvested at their peak. There's a vigorous testing process to make sure that they're quality. Right? And it goes right from the farm to your home. And Young Living does the entire process. So that's why I particularly like Young Living. As far as I know, the Progressant Plus is only Young Living. So if you want that, you will have to buy it from Young Living. How can you order? There's two different ways. So if you're already a Young Living member, it's easy. Go to your virtual office. You could do a quick order and order these products. If you are on Essential Rewards, which is our loyalty program, you can just add it to your next month's order. So that's pretty easy. If you're not a Young Living member, you can go to www.youngliving.com, or in the description I've clicked a link below. You can just click that link or cut and paste that link, and you'll go right to my page and my number for Young Living. When you get there, you pick either retail or wholesale member. If you're just doing one or two oils, then you're going to want to pick retail. If you're to be a wholesale member, you have to order a starter kit. You can learn more about what a premium starter kit is from one of the other videos over on my YouTube channel. It's called Essential Oils 101 Basics. We'll tell you all of what is in the starter kit. When you order one of the starter kits, then you become a wholesale member. You get 25% off, as well as a whole point system. But if you are not ready to order a lot and you just want to order one or two oils, that's fine, and you can just pick retail. If you go to youngliving.com, they'll ask you for a sponsor and enroller number, and you'll see there my number is 112047553. If you click the link below, that will already be filled out for you. Questions? Want to see more tips, videos, and information about essential oils? Want to talk more to me? You can go to Learn Essential Oils with Marie on Facebook. You can also go to Learn Essential Oils with Marie on YouTube. You will see a couple of videos. Tip of the week, you'll see the 101 basic class. Okay, so both of those places you can get for more information. You can get my newsletter. So if you click on the link below, it will give you to a registration for my newsletter. Then you get all the latest promotions, right? All the newest events and the online classes. If you're local, the local classes. And of course, you can always email me with questions at learnessentialoilswithmarie@gmail.com. Right? So these are all ways that we can kind of chat more. I always love to talk essential oils, so please do get in touch, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, or email. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the class and that you have a good evening.